Hey everyone, it's Emily, and today I'll be sharing my first ever experience attending Anime Expo. So this video is coming a little bit late because I unfortunately did catch the con crud and was kind of totally out of it for 2 weeks there with some lingering symptoms. I'm thankfully feeling much better now and wanted just to share a brief overview of my experience at AX, as well as share all the things that I picked up because I did a little bit of shopping. So AX is a convention that has always been on my radar. It's the biggest anime convention in the US, I believe, and as a California resident, I've of course heard of it. But what really made me commit to attending this year is the large Falcom presence. So one of the guests of honors this year at AX was Kondo, who is the president of Nihon Falcom, and he was going to be featured at various panels, and he was also doing signing, which I unfortunately didn't get in. And also just there's going to be a ton of trails and Ease 10 related things there. So I was motivated to really attend this year, and I'm really glad I did. So I, of course, made the effort to attend all the Falcom related panels, and not really knowing the line situation after hearing kind of horror stories about AX and it being the Lion Con, I did line up rather early for all of them. And while I didn't necessarily need to line up as early as I did, there was a pretty full presence of Falcom fans at all the panels. So that was really kind of cool to see, and also pretty validating as a Falcom fan, just seeing how beloved the Falcom games are in the West. So the first panel had Kondo introducing some gameplay footage of Ease 10 Nordics, and it was really fun. And I was actually sitting in the front row with my friend Brandon from Just the Gems, and it was kind of crazy just how close we were to him. Like, I could have just stretched out my arm and probably touched the back of his chair. He was that close. And it was really interesting to see him beat one of the bosses that was part of the demo, which I'll get into a little bit later. But at the panel, they handed out this cloth tote bag with Falcom JDK band. It's a rather thin tote bag, but it was cool to get this as a little freebie nevertheless. And inside of it was a bookmark that's double-sided here and features a QR code that had some exclusive content for the Ease 8 novelization that they were also advertising at that panel. So that was really my first day there. I was kind of just roaming around by myself because my friend who I was supposed to be attending with, she was flying in from Canada and unfortunately got caught in to one of the airline strikes. So she wasn't able to make it back to LA until the next day, after I think a few days of being stuck in Canada. And then I only got to meet my friend Brandon at the Ease 10 panel later in the afternoon. So I was kind of just roaming around the panels and just soaking in what AX was, and there were a lot of people there. It was July 4th, so it was a national holiday, but there was still just so much activity, so many great cosplays, and just a lot of craziness going on, which as a very introverted person, I was very overwhelmed, but I had a lot of fun just kind of taking in all the sights. Then the next day featured 2 different Trails panels, which I was really pumped for, and I was so excited of the large Trails presence at Anime Expo that I actually cosplayed as Estelle Bright, which I was really kind of pleased with how it turned out. And this was my first time kind of going full out on a cosplay, and I had to make some last minute adjustments to it, but overall I was really happy with how it all kind of turned out. And something that I probably should have anticipated a little bit more than I did was how many people were requesting photos of me as Estelle Bright. And I knew there would be some interest because I was attending 2 Trails panels, for crying out loud. So a lot of Trails fans were there. So it was an interesting experience being stopped and asked to take photos of my cosplay. And it's something I probably should practice because, yeah, I'm not super great when it comes to taking photos, candidly at least. But overall, it was really fun to meet other Trails fans and get to interact with them and, of course, share our love for the Trails and just Falcom in general. And the panels were also really cool. The first one was focused on Daybreak, and they timed it so that the panel was on the day of the game's release. So it was cool to see 2 of the voice actors, both for Fan and Anais, be present there and kind of share some voice lines and behind the scenes things with us. And this is also where they announced the sequel, Daybreak 2, and to anticipate it in early next year, which as a Falcom fan, that was such a pleasant surprise because of just how quickly NISA has been able to localize these games for us. And I think we're gonna maybe catch up maybe in the next year or two to where the Japanese fans are, which if you would have asked me this last year, if that would be possible, nothing I would have ever imagined, believe me. So Nisa also gave out exclusive swag at this panel as well, featuring Van and Anais and this nice acrylic standee, which I think is exclusive to AX. I haven't seen this sold anywhere else. And I actually ended up with two because they gave the same exact standee to the next Trails panel, which was Kondo, talking about kind of the 20 years of celebrating trails, and he was answering various questions from the audience, and it was just a really fun panel to kind of hear some of those little insights that I think a lot of Western fans weren't really aware of, or I don't know if he's ever been asked those questions before, so that was kind of cool. So at the exhibition hall, Nisa had a pretty big booth with 4 different games that they were featuring demos for, and I only ended up just doing it for 2 games because if you were to complete the demo and fill out a survey, they gave you kind of a nice little art card. And so I, of course, replayed the demo for, or at least a part of it, for Trails Through Daybreak to get this nice little card. And I also did it, I don't think it was for this day, I probably did it on Sunday. It was for Ease 10. And Marvelous, or Xseed, also had a booth in the entertainment hall, and they had a little kiosk that featured the Switch version of the new Ease remake game, which admittedly, that demo was much trickier, and I kind of felt bad because I kept dying. During that demo, I had to bump it down to easy. I'll fully admit that. But that was a lot of fun to test it out and also see the collector's edition on display there to get a little bit of a closer view of what that looks like. And you also got a lenticular card for doing that demo. And to briefly talk about the third day, this was the last panel that I really wanted to go to that again was another NAS America panel, and that was one that featured 2 of my friends, David from David Fink RPGs and Brandon from Brandon Just the Gems. They, along with another person, were kind of co-hosting a panel to talk about beginner-friendly JRPGs. So that one, interestingly enough, did have a little freebie with this Disgaea postcard. I'm guessing this is maybe left over from the Disgaea panel that NAS America did, or I'm not too sure if that's the case because I didn't attend that panel. But that was a little nice art card to get. And the panel I thought was a lot of fun, and it was really great to see some JRPG YouTuber kind of representation at AX this year. And I hope this is something that NAS America will continue to bring to not only maybe AX, but maybe some other conventions, because I think it'd be cool to have more of that community kind of touch. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and it was great to meet up with David, who unfortunately could only be there for a short time. And we were able to go towards Artist Alley and to kind of see the massive crowds once again there. And Saturday, I would say, was probably as crowded as the other days. I didn't feel like it was more crowded, though maybe it was. I would say like all the days just felt the equal amount of crowdedness for the most part. And so the last day was Sunday, and that was kind of the big day that I started buying things. And one of my kind of goals when it comes to organizing this room is I want to have this really large kind of collage of various JRPG and just other kind of fan art from franchises I enjoy to kind of be up there. And so AX was actually perfect for this because of just how many different artists they had at the convention. So there was a pretty good representation of JRPG related fan art that I picked up. Nothing Trails related, unfortunately. I was kind of hoping because there was such a large presence when it comes to panels that maybe someone would do something, but I guess Trails hasn't gone quite that big enough yet to get the Artist Alley to make stuff. But I did end up picking up a pretty good selection of various JRPG related art that I guess I'll share now. So for the collage wall I kind of have envisioned in my apartment, I was deliberately trying to pick up prints that were on the smaller size. Unfortunately, most of the prints a lot of artists are selling were massive, like poster size versions of a lot of character art, which, don't get me wrong, were really cool. I just really tried not to pick those up just because of wall space, and kind of would prefer a lot more variety than just large posters. And unfortunately, I don't remember all of the artists' names or where to find them on social media. I only picked up a few different of their business cards. If I do remember or have an artist name, I'll put it on the screen for those who might be interested. These first 2 are some really nice foil prints, and these were actually one of the first things that I bought. One featuring the Nier Automata art, as well as transistor art. And this booth probably had the biggest selection when it comes to video game or JRPG related art. And so I managed to pick up a small print of one with Odin Sphere art, as well as Final Fantasy VII and Okami. And this one's technically not JRPG related, though this franchise does have a JRPG, so I'm kind of including this here. But I really also like One Piece, and so I of course had to find my girl Robin here. She is my favorite character in One Piece, and I really liked this print of her. And probably what the overwhelming majority of the fan art that was featured in Artist Alley, it had to be the Hoyoverse stuff. So there was a ton of Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail being represented at, I would say, almost every artist booth had something Hoyoverse related. And so maybe 2 weeks prior to AX, I started up Honkai Star Rail again and got sucked in and catching up on the story, and to say that the Penicali stuff was really good. And I'm glad that I picked it up again, despite getting a little bit bored when I put it down last year. And so I did manage to pick up a few different prints of that because, again, most everything was kind of Hoyoverse related. And so I found some deals. Like a lot of artists had prints where if you buy 3, it's at a cheaper price than if you just bought 1 print, or if you bought 2, you get 1 free kind of deal. And so when it comes to seeking out prints, I really try to pick out characters I really like, or in this case, when it comes to Honkai Star Rail, I wanted to pick up characters that are playable to me, so ones that I guess I own. And so this is one of the characters. He's one of my favorites, actually. And then we have Blade here, another one that I have that's playable. And then this form of Donghyun, unfortunately, it's not playable for me, but I kind of did the buy 2, get 1 free deal and picked him as my 3rd one. So I actually bought one of these Artist Alley things on Thursday because I was deliberately seeking it out, hoping to grab one of these bundle sets from this well-known Xenoblade fan artist before they ran out of stock. And I'm kind of glad I did. I don't know if she sold out, but she didn't really advertise it in her booth. So I think it's more of, if you follow her on Twitter, you kind of knew this was available, sort of thing. At least that was what I kind of gathered when I was there on Thursday. But I got this tote bag of both Melia and Nia. And I actually brought this around with me the entire convention mostly. But this bundle set basically just featured art of both Nia and Melia, and something that I just couldn't resist. And so it came in this folder featuring Nia's blade form. And inside this was this acrylic standee, which I need to still figure out where I want to put this, if it's going to be by my Xenoblade shelf or somewhere else on my shelves, as well as these large stickers. I was surprised how big these were, actually. And this really large and clear Shishiki board, art board. And for this artist, they actually had this little gotcha card thing. So a random card you would get when you purchase $50 or more. The set was $60, and the card that I pulled was of Pyra. So I was really pleased with that set. And in the Artist Alley, I also stumbled upon this artist who happened to do this sort of mashup between One Piece and Fire Emblem, which are 2 of my favorite franchises. And they happened to have this book of all of the different Straw Hats and One Piece characters, and kind of write little scenarios that what would be their kind of Fire Emblem character. And it's really neat, actually, just flipping through this and sort of what their skills would be, what their weapons would be, and their colors. And in the back, they have their pixel forms, which is just adorable. And this book also included some stickers of those pixel characters of the Straw Hats. So for me, that was a wonderful find, and I kind of wished they had more prints around that One Piece Fire Emblem mashup, but I really was happy to get that book. And then they also had a larger poster with Fire Emblem Awakening stuff, and it does have some foil there. And I just really like the details of Lucina and Chrom and all these other characters in the red there. And so this is the last artist that I picked up some larger posters from, and 2 of them feature Fire Emblem characters. So this first one is of Lucina, So this is the one that initially caught my eye that I kind of had to have. And they were also running the buy two, get one free deal. So I was inclined to buy or pick up a few more. And so the next one is of Erica from Fire Emblem. She also looks really great here. And I mentioned getting back into Honkai Star Rail earlier, and one of the latest characters that I was able to get was Firefly, so I really wanted to get some sort of thing of Firefly, and she was everywhere. It was very hard to choose, actually, which Firefly print to get, but I ended up choosing this as my third one in the buy two, get one free deal this artist was offering. And I really liked how Firefly and Sam are both represented here, so I was pretty happy to get this one. So I did spend the majority of my shopping funds on art prints, which I was really pleased with, and I'm really looking forward to hanging them up soon. And I did end up buying a few other things. I kind of wished that I didn't feel so overwhelmed in Artist Alley, so I could pick up some other things there, but I think overall I was pretty happy with what I did manage to pick up. Artist Alley was just such an overwhelming experience, so I was actually surprised I found some things to pick up, because really it's hard to choose. I think on the last day it made it a little bit easier because there were things that sold out, and the things that were left that I was still interested in, I kind of felt good with buying, so I didn't feel like I was impulse buying things. And in the convention itself, outside of Artist Alley, I did end up buying 2 official merch things. So the first one is Digimon related, and that is this hat. And I've been looking for kind of a lighter colored hat, because all my hats, I have like 3 of them that are a baseball cap, are all black basically. So I wanted something in this cream color. I thought it was cute. A little expensive, but it's something I see myself wearing a lot. Most of the things at the convention were things you can buy online, often for cheaper. But this one I felt pretty good buying because I kind of missed the window to buy it. And it was from the NAS America store. And I ended up getting my first ever Trails plush. So I've been a little hesitant to get into JRPG plushies because I always find that they look a little strange, but I actually really like how NAS America does their plushes, and especially with how they actually mold the hair and not have it be just kind of felt pieces that are kind of glued on like a lot of those dolls end up being like. But I was really enamored with the Trails Through Daybreak demo before going to AX, and I just couldn't help myself but buy him, and I'm glad I did. I don't think I'm going to be buying any more plushes in the near future, but I might have to cave and get some others eventually when the games, if NAS America keeps making them as pre-order things. And then lastly, another kind of thing that the NAS booth was doing is if you pre-ordered one of the collector's editions on their website while attending AX, they also gave you a free tote, and it happened to be the same tote as what I got from the Ease 10 panel, but in a different colorway. So the very thin Falcom JDK band. While it is rather thin, it is something that you could roll up to really tiny and compact. And so it's something that I've been thinking of bringing with me to my big Asia trip that I'm going to go on a few weeks from now, which I haven't talked about yet. But I'm planning to go to Seoul, Shanghai, and multiple parts of Japan for about 35 days towards the tail end of summer, which I know is not the ideal time to go to Asia, but it's the time I'm able to go, and I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, that kind of concludes all the things that I picked up at AX this year, and just kind of a brief overview of what I did at AX. And overall, I think it's a really great experience and something that I would like to go back to, especially if Falcom's going to have a huge presence again in the near future. And I hope that I'm really hoping that this encourages more JRPG franchises and companies to bring stuff to AX, because there's not a ton of gaming panels, at least in the US, that have kind of a JRPG focus. And so that'd be cool if we kind of see that become more of a thing at AX and kind of continue to expand. So sorry for the delay in this video, and now that I'm feeling much better, I'm hoping to start kind of getting back into filming things again and releasing them at least once a week. And I've already started prepping for a lot of videos that I'm filming ahead of time and editing ahead of time, so that when I'm away in Asia, you guys will have some content from me. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to keep up with comments the next couple of months, but once I get back in late September, I'm hoping everything will be kind of back to the norm. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you've ever been to one of these conventions before and enjoyed partaking in the fan art purchasing like I did, or if you've been to some retro gaming ones. I'm really hoping to someday go to one of those conventions and fill in a few holes in my retro gaming collection. Maybe next year, we'll see. But that's all from me, and until next time, bye guys.